Okay, we have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We just need Mr. Hansen up here to make it full. We'll call this meeting to order the Sacramento Transportation Authority on April 11th. Here we are at 1:35 p.m. I'm going to defer to the clerk to read the cable announcement, please.
This meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is closed caption and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will replay Saturday, April 13th at 2 p.m. and Sunday, April 14th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board may fill out a speaker form located at the back of the room and bring it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone addressing the board and state your name for the record.
Thanks, Janae. Go ahead and take the roll.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Director Carr?
Here.
Frost?
Here.
Gatewood?
Here.
Guerra?
Here.
Hanson?
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Howell? Hume?
Here.
Kennedy? Lozano?
Here.
Miller? Natoli, Chenier, Cerna, Soon,
Here.
and Peters.
Thank you very much. Okay, I see Michelle Smyer out in the audience. Can I have you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to take comments not on the agenda. I have one speaker form in front of me. Mr. Jeffrey Chartagia. Thank you very much. Good to see you, Jeffrey. I never say your last name usually, but good to see you.
Well, I said this year, board chairman over there, that I didn't think I needed to come back here. I just needed to watch you guys. Unfortunately, I'm back here because some of the further developments that have occurred. So I am going to suggest to this board, question, who in the public do you tell what goes on here at Sacramento Transit Authority? I was reminded at the last RT board meeting, even though I shuffled off to Sacramento's The Future of Transportation in Sacramento. It was an interesting podcast. You should possibly find out and see about it through here. Also, Sacramento's News and Review offered the article that for Sue Frost's jurisdiction, because obviously she wasn't on RT's board, so she could not speak up about why in the world is there no longer going to be any bus service in Fair Oaks or Orangevale. It would seem to me like it would have been a smart thing that from Sunrise Mall that you would go over to Folsom as you encourage and increase these things. Now you are going to inform the next, and the word is getting out there, the next tax measure going on through there. I am hoping that before January, since is that fast approaching in March of next year, that you're going to do this, unless you get a retroactive on the underneath the 55% on the voting deal. That's also in the as a proposal to the people. You again have not made the effort of convincing the jurisdictions underneath you that why we need more money when everybody else is wanting to collect more money to support public transportation in the Sacramento region. I don't hear it out of any of your offices, any of your individuals of why. So again, I say to you, as this STA, you have been the body that I hadn't known about from 2008, even though all the Board of Supervisors were, I guess, on it, and some of you city council members exist on it. And so I raised to you the question, who do you report back to? Now that Sue Peterson's has arrived here, I'm also going to turn around and say, I loved at the Transportation Board, but I want to clarify, at the Transportation Board, I said, dealing with the hydrogen charging. that should be something that a regional effort needs to be made about it. She responded with, I'm putting 3 charging stations in the Arden, our region. I'm hoping those are dual charging stations for that. I'm hoping that they are around Cal Expo and around Watt Avenue, and yes, indeed, Arden Way. But these efforts as we go for now 2020 of more electrification, and as you see more the effort of electric generation, you also are going to have to tackle, as the Sacramento Transit Authority, if you have to do something other than a sales tax, how in the world, and you probably have seen the effort that everybody thinks that's so simple. We'll see what it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, did you have a comment?
No, we're having a little difficulty here.
We're doing the handoff here.
Oh,
that you're here,
okay.
Chair Peters.
So is it you then?
Yeah, they got me logged in right now, but we'll figure it out. You can go ahead. We're on the executive director's report.
Okay.
Thank you. Just a few highlights from the Executive Director's report. Back in December of 2017, your board approved an advance of $30 million to Caltrans for their Interstate 5 HOV lane projects. I just wanted to provide you a little update. Caltrans received 2 bids for their contract, and both were under the engineer's revised estimates. Caltrans anticipates awarding a contract to the lowest bidder in May, with work commencing this July or August. On the backside of the Executive Director's report is the board meeting schedule for the remainder of the year. Our next meeting is May 9th, and I know that all 5 of our City of Sacramento City Council members are on the Budget and Audit Committee, and that you do have a meeting at 3 o'clock on May 9th. And so we will endeavor to end the STA meeting at 2:30 on May 9th so that you have adequate time to make your next meeting. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any questions for the Executive Director? Okay, next item will go to number 3. Oh, hang on here.
Your next item are your consent matters. Items 3 through 6 are in order.
Okay, does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss on the consent calendar? Okay, motion by Mr. Carr, second by Mr. Suen. All those, are we voting on the screen or?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor of passing consent, say aye.
Aye.
Noes or abstentions? None. Consent passes. Going on to item 7.
Item 7 is your Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee update and proposed Measure A performance audit objectives.
Good afternoon. I'm Joan Barucki. I'm your chair of the ITOC. And before you today, we have a recommendation and are looking for your input
Thank you.
on the goals and objectives for the program performance audit of the Sacramento Transportation Authority. The ITOC is responsible for preparing this performance audit. In the past, there has been performance reviews done by the executive director, but this body has never actually conducted a true performance audit of the program. And we're looking to engage Crow, who did the CAFR for us, to move forward and get this program performance audit done. We would like your input on the objectives. We'll bring them back with the program, with a revision to the program performance standards at your May meeting, as well as bringing forward approval to go forward with a contract with Crow at that time. So at this point, I'm really interested if there are any comments, if there are any questions, if there's anything that you think we have failed to include in these goals and objectives. We would certainly like to hear that.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? Speaker? Mr. Suen, did?
Sure.
I'll just say I think your role is an important one in building trust in the community and what we're trying to do here. So we thank you for your efforts, and I think these objectives are very appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think everyone would agree with those comments. We feel very comfortable with the work that's being done by the ITAC. So thank you very much.
Good. Excellent. I will see you in May then.
Okay, see you in May. Okay, item 8.
Your next item is proposed STA budget for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Good afternoon, members of the board and public. Before you today are the financial tables from the proposed fiscal year 2019-20 budget. These tables represent all the budgetary financial data that will be incorporated into the final budget, which I will bring back to you for adoption during the May meeting. The proposed budget is the culmination of several months' collaboration with our program partners to develop the most accurate financial assumptions for the remainder of the current year and the budget year. I'd like to highlight some of the key elements of the proposed budget. I'll focus on the general fund since the other funds are relatively immaterial in comparison. So on the revenue side, overall revenue continues to increase, and the examples I'll cite are sales tax revenue is forecast to increase for the 10th year in a row, albeit at a slower rate of an estimated 1.9% to an estimated total in the budget of $131.8 million. Secondly, the Sacramento County-wide Transportation Mitigation Fee Program, affectionately known as the SCTMFP, revenue is expected to increase by $1 million to $7 million for the year. The increase can be explained by the demand for construction, which drives permit fee revenue, and that's especially relevant in the city of Sacramento. On the appropriation side, overall appropriations are expected to decrease $18.9 million in the budget year, and this can be explained by the capital program cost decreasing $21.4 million, offset by an increase in monthly allocations of $1.9 million. The increase in the monthly allocations are directly related to the receipts and sales tax revenue, such that as revenue goes up, the allocations do too. All capital program partners are projecting decreases in capital program costs in fiscal year 2019-20 when compared to the amounts budgeted in fiscal year 2018-19. Many projects have been delayed because construction bids came in higher than engineers' estimates, shifting some spending expected in the current year to the budget year and beyond. In terms of fund balance under the proposed budget is expected to increase $29.1 million to $35.7 million when compared to the fund balance in the fiscal year 2018-19 adopted budget. Most of the increase is due to reduced or delayed capital program appropriations and increased revenue. At this time, I'd like to address any questions that you have about the proposed budget.
Ms. Frost?
I'll wait.
Okay, I think that was, he finished his presentation.
Okay. Are you complete?
Yes, I kept it brief.
I have a question relating to the debt service. Are we expecting rates to continue to go up? Or I haven't been looking at it lately. Do we have a feel for what the rates might do in this coming year?
Yeah, currently, I think the federal, the interest rates are going to remain at their current rate right now, but keep in mind that we have swap partners, so as the interest rates go up in terms of what we're paying out, the interest rates that we receive from our partners increase as well, so we're always swapping those interest rates. So what we're looking at is the net on the interest rate costs, and so there's not going to be a significant change in those costs this year. The primary change in our debt service is going to be the increase in principal payments to our Series 2012 bonds.
And I want to make sure I understand why you changed the methodology in how you have it on the budget. I'm not sure I totally understand.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I did that to be more consistent with our CAFR. So in the CAFR, we report revenue, this interest income, and you'll see that it's, there's millions of dollars in interest income, that is attributed in part to fund balance that we carry and the interest that we receive on that, but also the interest from our debt program. And down further in the statements, you'll see other financing uses, and in that area, that's the outflows in our CAFR for the debt service. And I used to net those because that's the real cost of the debt program, but I think for clarity and for consistency between the budget and the CAFR, I revisited that methodology, and I think it's clearer overall, and I'm trying to be more consistent between the two documents for the readers.
That's helpful because the CAFR is different, and different people put into what parts of the CAFR makes a different. It's confusing to those of us that are not CPAs.
Yes.
I also had a question relating to it said this Capital Southeast Connector's appropriations were decreased because the agency is constrained by the remaining spending authority. I wasn't sure in its contract. I wasn't sure I understood that.
You were right, Norm. Norm and I had this discussion. I thought it was okay. Yeah, so one of the challenges that the connector faces is the purchase of right-of-way property. And so when staff are preparing their budget, they need to estimate what they think they're going to spend on right-of-way for a given year. And oftentimes that doesn't materialize as they expect. So last year they had a fairly significant budget of $11 million, some of which they are going to spend in the current year, around 3.8. But and so what that does is that limits, they have a contract value of X amount of dollars, and although there's demand for, there's a lot of demand for spending out of the connector, at this point the limitation for the coming year is the remaining allocation in their current contract with the authority.
It's tied up, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Gatewood.
Quick question. So it says that, so just to be clear, we raised another $29.1 million of extra money due to sales tax revenue. Is that right? Or is it
That's
2.1?
an increase in fund balance.
Fund balance.
Yeah, so
Okay.
fund balance is a combination of outflows and inflows.
Okay. It says that we're 290,000 light to Rancho Cordova for this year, or is it that we're going to have $290,000 less? Page 2.
So I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Are you going to have to? Are we $290,000 less of an ask, or are we just 200,000 light on the overall?
Less than the ask.
Less than the ask.
Yeah.
But we're going to get $2.46 million, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And that's what your staff have estimated they're going to need for that
Okay.
project. Yeah.
But we have that because there's new money or less money being spent, or we don't have that. For next
You
year?
do have that. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you. I apologize. This is my first STA budget, and so I'm trying to figure things out, but I don't see citrus heights anywhere in appropriations or the capital improvement. Why is that?
That's because currently Citrus Heights does not have any capital projects that are in our expenditure plan. So we don't currently have any contracts for capital projects with Citrus Heights.
We'll have to talk about that more, because, I don't see anything in the next year or the year after either.
Yeah, so they're coming on.
And I know we have some shovel-ready projects.
Yeah, there's none in the current, though there's not been any for several years, and there's none in the budget year.
I did have a talk with Regina of your staff this just right before the meeting started, and so I think we will revisit it. We may advance some funds this next fiscal year to get some projects going for the city of Citrus Heights, and we'll bring that back at the May meeting.
I know the Auburn Boulevard Phase 2 is in design, and I think the right-of-way acquisition is done, so.
Yeah. So the budget currently is driven by the contract, so I'll connect with Norm and we'll revisit that.
Okay, we'll talk some more.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions for the commission? I'd like to open the public hearing for any public comment. I don't have any comment sheets. Does anyone wish to speak to this item? Okay, close the public hearing and
We need to continue
yes,
it
continue the
to May
public
9.
I was going to close the public hearing and then continue it to May 9th. I didn't talk fast enough for Norm. Okay, so could I have a motion to continue to May 9?
So moved. Second.
So we have a motion, everyone, I guess. I
Sure, you
can
got
tell
it.
the
He was first,
voices.
though.
Okay.
He was first in the front.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Noes or abstentions? Item passes. Okay, moving on to next item.
Your next item is your unmet transportation needs presentations.
So as the STA Governing Board starts to think about a supplemental transportation sales tax measure, the first step is determining if we have a need, and if so, what those needs are. So last month, we heard from the cities of Elk Grove, Folsom, Rancho Cordova, and the Connector regarding what their unmet transportation needs are. Today, we'll continue with the city of Citrus Heights, Galt, Ileton, and Sacramento. First up is the city of Citrus Heights. Allow me to introduce Regina Cave.
There she is.
And I use this to click. Good afternoon, board members. Again, my name is Regina Cave, and I'm Operations Manager with the City of Citrus Heights. I'm here before you to share some of Citrus Heights Measure A funded accomplishments over the years, as well as look at some of our transportation challenges and unmet needs. So Citrus Heights is located at the north end of the county. We rub shoulders with unincorporated Placer County, City of Roseville, and of course Sacramento County unincorporated neighborhoods. We are a 14-mile square community with a population of approximately 88,000. We have 58 signalized intersections that we maintain, including the signals on our one freeway interchange, which is located at Antelope Road. We have 464 lane miles of pavement to maintain, and our average PCI is 60. Now you'll notice I have an asterisk there. While Citrus Heights is currently preparing to update our pavement management system, just to give you a better idea of what our current situation is with our residential streets, we are preparing to overlay streets this summer with PCIs ranging from 24 to 27, which is significantly lower than 60 and significantly lower than the ideal of 70. So an overview of some of our Measure A successes. Antelope Road Improvements Project. This widened Antelope Road from I-80 to east of Roseville Road, which helped to reduce congestion, enhance transit use, and provide continuous ADA, pedestrian, and bicycle access. This project was concluded in 2009. The total project was approximately $7 million, which represents design through right-of-way and construction, and the total Measure A was approximately $1 million. We were very fortunate with this project that the Measure A was advanced to the City of Citrus Heights in advancement of the new or the existing Measure A of 2009 because we were leveraging those for grant funds. Greenback Lane Phases 1 and 2, which widened Greenback Lane from San Juan to Dewey, completed in 2000, and then from Dewey to Auburn Boulevard in 2008. This helped, again, reduce congestion, enhance transit use, and provide continuous ADA, pedestrian, and bicycle access. Phase 1 was done in cooperation with Sac County as that project was developed and grant funds were secured prior to the city's incorporation, so that was a joint effort with Sac County and Citrus Heights. Total project funding between both projects or both phases was approximately $18 million, and Measure A contributed approximately $5 million. Sunrise Boulevard Complete Streets, Phases 1, 2, and 3. You'll notice we do a lot of phasing of our projects in Citrus Heights. This constructed over 7,000 lineal feet of new sidewalk, curb gutter infill, reconstructed over 5,800 lineal feet of non-compliant sidewalk, and constructed new ADA-compliant infrastructure such as vibratactile, push buttons, and audible countdown devices. Total between all three phases was approximately $12.5 million, and total Measure A participation was approximately $5.5 million. Now, for phases 2 and 3, we actually had a phase 2A and a phase 3A, which constructed improvements only on the west side. Phases 2 and 3 segments have been identified within the countywide transportation expenditure plan for additional funding. To touch on, Councilmember Miller, to touch on your question that you had about how come Citrus Heights doesn't have any projects in the immediate plan, we are working on securing funds for those two segments. Overview of additional successes. Those were just some of the highlighted projects, but we have benefited tremendously from Measure A, both the old Measure A when we first incorporated and now with the existing Measure A. We do perform regular ADA curb compliant projects on an annual basis, leveraging the Measure A funds with other grant funds, with CDBG and stormwater funds. We have completed multiple multi-phase Safe Routes to School projects, again, continuing to leverage Measure A funds. We perform residential resurfacing projects, lots of sidewalk repairs. We've been able to do several streetlight LED conversion projects, and of course traffic calming, not only within our neighborhoods, but also working in partnership with our school district. Coming soon, we do have our Mariposa Avenue Safe Routes to School Phase 3, which we are actually awarding this evening at our council meeting. This will infill approximately 1,500 lineal feet of new sidewalk, ADA, pedestrian, and bicycle improvements. Total project from design through construction is approximately $2.3 million, and Measure A is approximately $350,000. Now that doesn't seem like a large dollar, however, it was very instrumental in us being able to actually even award this contract and to move forward. Transportation challenges, ununique to Citrus Heights. This is region-wide, statewide. Again, our PCI of 60, which is potentially significantly lower. We do have an approximate backlog of over $60 million. This is our residentials and our collectors. This does not address our arterial streets. We do have also traffic signal synchronization and coordination. Again, with 58 signalized intersections within the city, we're not only looking for connectivity, or synchronization between our signals to reduce congestion and keep traffic moving, but also looking to improve our coordination with City of Roseville and with Sacramento County. As Steve Miller had commented about Auburn Boulevard. Auburn Boulevard Complete Streets Phase 2 is Citrus Heights' main priority at this point. We have secured some funding for construction. However, we are looking at a potential shortfall of over $15 million. The city constructed Phase 1 from Sylvan Corners to Rush Park in multiple phases. And we are looking to continue that same effort with undergrounding all of our overhead utilities in partnership with SMUD and providing continuous multimodal access throughout our entire corridor, serving traffic to and from Placer County, Roseville, and Sacramento County. Antelope Road I-80 improvements. This is again our only overpass within our city limits. It experiences traffic congestion on a daily basis and has limited ADA, pedestrian, and bicycle access. The city did conduct a feasibility study a few years back to look at how we could provide that pedestrian access to connect what we call Area 1, which is the northwest corner of Citrus Heights, and join them with the rest of our community. And so we did find from the feasibility study that the best way to do that would be to construct some type of a suspension bridge of some sort concurrent with the Antelope overpass. But we do have quite a ways to go before we can actually complete our PDS PSR with Caltrans. We do need funding for that, and then additional funding to be able to leverage for final design and for construction. San Juan Complete Streets. This is kind of a continuation of Auburn Boulevard. Auburn Boulevard goes from Auburn to Sylvan to San Juan and then into Sac County. We have approximately 3,000 lineal feet of sidewalk infill needed. 2,100 lineal feet of sidewalk to reconstruct. We have limited ADA, pedestrian, and bicycle access, conflicts with utility poles, limited transit access, and overall poor pavement conditions. Total project of $10 million. To date, we have no funding secured for this. I'm here to entertain any questions.
Are there
you may
any
have.
questions for Regina? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is City of Galt, Mike Selling. I
Good
understand
afternoon,
you're
members of the
new.
board.
We promise not to eat you.
Okay, thanks.
Mike and I go way back. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, I was going to say I recognized an old colleague, or maybe a not so old, but from many years ago. Great to see you, Darren.
You too. Elderly.
So again, Mike Selling, I'm the Director of Public Works with the City of Galt, and new to the job, but about 26 years of prior experience with San Joaquin County. Let's see. Oh, there's part of it. All right, great. So again, Basically, I just want to thank your executive director for the opportunity to come and speak to you today about what Measure A has done for the city, and take a look at what's next as well. And before I get into this, I also wanted to recognize our deputy director, Mr. Mark Clarkson, who's with me as well. So to start start off, this slide presents a sample list of just some of the city's projects that Measure A has contributed to. And I think I'd need probably several more slides to provide the full list. But as you can see, there's a wide variety there. And I can tell you, after looking at the full list, it does run the gamut from routine maintenance, resurfacing treatments, to safe routes to school projects, bike, pedestrian, transit improvements, to street enhancements, a couple of key interchanges, one at Twin Cities Road on the north end of the city and Highway 99, and that's the pair of roundabouts. If you've ever been through there, there's the kids on the east side looking through the binoculars over at the Sandhill Cranes on the west side. And that's kind of shown at the upper right on the slide there. And then the other interchange is our Central Galt interchange at A and C Streets in Highway 99. And that's shown in the lower right there. So looking at what's coming up that we're starting to work on, and which I'm certain Measure A will again help us to make these projects reality. First, the city was fortunate to secure about $2.5 million to make improvements on C Street between 6th Street and Civic Drive, including a new bike lane. We plan to start the preliminary engineering later this summer. And C Street is a gateway corridor into the Old Town, downtown area of the city of Galt. And consequently, we feel there'll be a large public interest in this, and so we'll have a robust outreach effort included in the preliminary engineering and environmental phase of the project. And that'll help determine the types of improvements that we look to go forward with and minimize the impacts to the frontages. So another large project that's on our horizon is the Carillion Boulevard improvements. And as you can hopefully see on the map, Carillion Boulevard runs north-south. It's on the east side of the city. And as the cities continue to grow further east, even from Carillion, and to Marengo Road is the next road over. And so the planning staff were looking at this and thinking that Marengo is more likely to become the arterial roadway. And thus, they initiated a study of Carillion Boulevard to consider whether it should remain a 4-lane arterial or reduce it to more of a complete streets 2-lane roadway with separated bike or neighborhood electric vehicle lanes, as depicted here on the right of the slide. As you can see on that map with the red circles, there are about 12 intersections. The lower 3 to the south there would be future extensions of the corridor. Anyway, those 12 intersections, one alternative is looking at potentially putting roundabouts in there, and that would be the 2-lane road alternative, complete streets. We're hoping to finish this study probably by the end of this calendar year, and be looking forward to moving into a design phase after that. The next major project that I wanted to touch on for the city of Galt is the Walnut Avenue interchange. And if you look on the map there, there's a red circle, maybe a little bit hard to see, but that's the location of the interchange. It's kind of north-central Galt. And as you can see from that map, and if you're not familiar with the city of Galt, essentially Highway 99 kind of bisects the city. So there's an east-west connectivity issue that we want to address. And in 2009, the city's general plan identified the need for an interchange at this location to help enhance that east-west connectivity. The city expects to have a consultant on board by late summer to begin I'll call it a pre-PSR, project study report phase, and begin the coordination with Caltrans on that. So we do have some challenges that we want to work through with Caltrans as far as interchange spacing. And I know that was short and sweet, but anyway, I hope that brief presentation will give you a sense of some of the projects that Measure A has helped the city with, and some of our future opportunities that we know that Measure A will definitely play a part in delivering those projects as well. So Mr. Clarkson and I are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Okay.
All right, great, thank
Next
you.
report. Thank you very much. And next will be the City of Ileton, Chuck Bergson.
Afternoon, I'm Chuck Bergson, City of Ileton, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you. I know my presentation, I'll go through it quickly. Mr. Hom mentioned I kind of like loaded it up. I will say this so briefly. The two presentations before me both had double-digit millions. I think the one after me will be a three-digit millions, and I'm only one.
Like that.
It's $2 million, I'll go home. No. This is a city of Ileton. Which is what? Oh.
There we go.
That's the forward button right there.
Okay. And I'm.
Just get a cookie when I hear that noise.
How do I get?
You can
Okay, thank you. Ileton's located, that's Dixon on the top, Sacramento, and then there's Antioch. We're located halfway down the river. That's our capital project. The grand total there at the bottom is $1.7 million. We have two projects under construction. There's the blue. That's the Delta West project. Is just various residential roads and some commercial that are in real bad shape. We're having those are designed. And then Union Street, the bottom one, is under construction now. Upcoming projects, we need ADA ramp improvements and resurfacing our streets. These, I'm just going to kind of go through these. These are a lot of the street conditions in, that's the Union Street. It's $72,000, which is under construction now. That's Union Street. That's under construction. Delta West, we're under design. Project's going to be about $500,000. And these are various pictures of of Delta West. Is just, the roads there are pretty bad. I estimate our average PCI is like in the low 50s. We're having a study done now. This is Main Street. This is recent work we've done with Measure A money. We seal coated East Street about 2 years ago. We're asking to upgrade all our street signs. They're faded. Completed projects, again, from Measure A was we centerlined the streets, again, 4 or 5 years ago, and we installed handicap ramps throughout there, a few throughout the town. That's the centerline striping, that's handicap. Like I mentioned, the Tower Park, we have a Tower Park, park and ride lots under construction. That's about $80,000, and that'll be done early June. That's Tower Park, park and ride lot now. It's under construction. Unmet transportation needs. This is a list of them. Just briefly to highlight them. The ADA accessibility to these community centers, an issue. The center has always been a voting center for the Delta. It was not ADA acceptable, not ADA accessible, and we're asking for some funds. Mr. Toley, we have a letter coming to y'all.
Okay.
To get it ADA accessible so the residents in the Delta have a place to a local. They all know this is a center to vote, and we want to get it back accessible. Again, more streets. The conditions of the streets are pretty bad shape. This is First Street. That's entrance First Street from Highway 60. This is just, I'm stepping a little out of bounds here. This is roadways to and from Ileton. Ileton's that wedge up top, and then going to Highway 12. These roads we're looking at obtaining a sphere of influence, and they're in our sphere of influence, Jackson, Slough Row, and Terminus, and they're splitting. They're in rough shape. I know it's outside our purview, but we would like some consideration on that. We do have multiple grant requests in for various other projects, but specifically, like we said in the first list, is like $1.7 million to fix the streets. Oh, my comment on this stuff is millions, because those roads are on top of the levees and they kind of move. One other major unmet transit needs is connections to north and south to the Bay and SAC-RT. We have a pilot project that's going to be funded through SACOG, $10,000 to do morning and evening commutes to BART at Antioch and SAC-RT at Consumnes College. We've also contacted SAC-RT and BART, and they're interested in facilitating a link. The only way to get from Isleton to Sacramento now takes about 5 hours via Galt. And so we're asking for get it connected to Antioch and Sacramento. So that's a significant need, we think, for the Delta as well as the region. The bottom figure there, SACOG offered us a $10 million grant to do a pilot project for that connection to BART and SAC-RT. It's our business corridor. I had some PCI things in here. We're roughly at low 50s. I may be high. I'll leave that out. Everybody comes to town the second Saturday for Crawdad Festival, which is not there anymore, but we've reinitiated. There's a new festival. Second Saturday, June 15th, is Isleton Summerfest, and we have a Delta Breeze Festival end of September. Thank you.
Okay. If you'd wait a moment, Mr. Bergson, Mr. Natoli has a question for you.
Sure. And not so much a question, I just want to thank Charles, certainly for his work, obviously, on behalf of the City Council and the residents of the City of Isleton, and certainly Norm and his staff. We, for a number of years, had escrowed some of the dollars that were for repairs and rehabilitation, and since Charles is coming aboard as city manager and working with Norm and staff and Tim and others, the money got released late last year. I know you reported that to the board. So some of that work, I trust Charles, is being funded. Those couple projects you showed in the blue were monies that had accumulated on behalf of Isleton, and it's good to see that those projects going forward. I wanted to make a couple of notes that you showed pictures of Terminus and Jackson Slough Road. I'm well aware. I actually couple minutes late getting to today's hearing, this SDA hearing. I was on the phone with our Public Works Department. We've got the District 5 allocation, which covers a fairly large geography of the County of Sacramento and the unincorporated area, almost $1 million for those two roads to be dedicated to this upcoming construction season to at least begin the repairs. And I would just say, again, this is not for Caltrans District 3 as much as for Caltrans District 10. When they were doing the Highway 12 project, there was some diversion of trucks that contributed, at least in part, to some of the deterioration. We have the shifting because they are on those, levees that adjoining agricultural drainage and so forth. And so we're going to do our best to get those two roads. We recognize that Terminus has a number of residents. Obviously, it's a conduit from Highway 12 into the city of Isleton, as is Jackson Slough with the fire department, certainly the River Delta Fire Station there. So you're going to get about 1/3 of the entire allocation for District 5, Sacramento County's District 5, to do those two roads in particular. I also wanted to note that just on the vote center, Chuck pointed out the community center, and certainly the street condition was the primary focus here, but it was the only incorporated city in this last 2018 election year that didn't have a vote center of all the incorporated cities. And I know I've been working with our staff at the county and certainly our voter registrar to see to it that we work with the city to find a way to actually have a physical vote center that's accessible in the city of Isleton for Delta residents and others who would utilize that within Sacramento County. So we're working on that. I appreciate your cooperation. We just need to figure that out. So, but just of note, as you're doing work within the city, we're doing work on the entryways to the city from the south in particular.
Thank you, Mr. Tully. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
All right, thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks,
you
Charles.
Thank you very much. Next up is City of Sacramento, Lucinda Wilcox.
Good afternoon, Chair Peters, members of the board. I'm Lucinda Wilcox with the City of Sacramento Public Works Department. I'm going to give you a pretty high-level overview, kind of going from the smallest city in the county to the largest city, so our perspective has to change a bit. So just a quick overview of the City of Sacramento. We have over 500,000 people, 300,000 daily employees come in. We are the oldest city in California, which means we have infrastructure that's been developed over the last 175 years, so to a variety of different standards. We're both the state capital and the regional center, which brings a lot of opportunities as well as special challenges. And we have a very diverse set of neighborhoods of all income levels, all different styles. Our overall transportation system assets, we have lots of things to maintain. We have over 3,000 lane miles of roadways, over 850 signalized intersections. In addition, we have a lot of other things, floodgates, bridges, streetlights that we have to maintain and operate. So the bulk of the city's transportation funding does go into maintaining and operating our existing system. I'll note that transit service is provided by RT, so that'll be covered in a later presentation by RT. So today I just wanted to review some of our Measure A successes and then talk about our transportation needs and priorities that the city has in the city. First of all, our Measure A successes. Wanted to start by mentioning the Sacramento Intermodal Facility, and this is a regional project. Since it's located in the city of Sacramento, we get to serve as the steward. But with Measure A funds, that allowed the city to purchase the historic building and save it. It was in very poor repair, as well as 32 acres. So it saved both the historic jewel as well as a train station that's been operating since 1926. We are the 7th busiest Amtrak station in the nation. And with the Measure A funds, we were able to leverage a variety of state and federal grant funds. We were able to relocate and double the passenger tracks. They moved 500 feet to the north. That removed a critical curve to allow trains to operate better, allow longer trains, and also separated the passenger and the rail and the heavy rail. We also saved, as I mentioned, we saved the historic depot. We got a Tiger grant to renovate that and to restore it to its historic prowess, as well as enjoying, we put in structural retrofits, heating and air, and other activities. So overall, we've leveraged well over $85 million in state and federal grants with phase 1 and phase 2 of this project, and we'll talk about phase 3 when we get into our needs. A few years ago, we completed the Cosumnes River Boulevard interchange and roadway extension. That's probably one of the last new interchanges that we will build in the city. This opened up both a critical east-west connection and opened up 800 acres to development that had been landlocked in the city for over 30 years. And using Measure A funds, we were able to leverage over $65 million both in grant and in developer funding. And finally, I'm going to mention the Guy West Bridge rehabilitation, and why that's critical to our Measure A success is that most of our funding is gas tax related and cannot be used on facilities that can't hold automobiles. And so for years we were searching for money to be able to rehab this important bridge, and Measure A allowed us to use our maintenance funds also to maintain and rehab our off-road bridges. So we were able to use $2.8 million to restore this bridge. We also, so I mentioned these are high-level successes. We also have numerous bike ped and safety projects. As a rule, we tend to use our Measure A dollars to leverage state and federal grant funds so that we can maximize the projects that we can do. So I'm going to go over some high-level transportation needs and priorities. These are based on our kind of existing plans and documents that have been adopted by the City Council. So first of all, pavement maintenance. Our overall pavement condition is 66, which is fair. You've heard a lot of talk about that. However, what we found when we look in the future is even with the SB1 money that we're getting, and if we continue to invest that in 10 years, we will decline to a PCI of 51, which is poor. And our deferred maintenance backlog will grow from 179 million where it is today to 426 million in 10 years. And that's largely because our streets that are in poor condition, right now we have about 18% of our streets are in poor condition. In 10 years, we anticipate about 40% will be in poor condition, and that costs 10 or more times, much more to rehabilitate than doing preventative maintenance. And we also, it's easy to analyze pavement, that's kind of the standard, but we also have other maintenance needs. We have bridges, we have off-street bike trails, we have all our traffic equipment that also needs ongoing maintenance. Okay, wanted to talk about technology, which is mainly our traffic control equipment. We are participating with SACOG in an intelligent transportation system master plan, and that's really about having connected infrastructure that we can operate remotely, and it really allows us to use our existing system more efficiently and effectively because we're able to detect and monitor all the various types of activities and different transportation modes. We anticipate that we need about $250 million just to bring our existing system into a state of good practice. Right now, about half our corridors are connected remotely to our transportation operations center, so we need to bring the rest of the city in as well as upgrade. The next category really focuses on safety and multimodal transportation, so a lot of focus on our corridors. Vision Zero is a policy that was adopted by the City Council. It's a philosophy that traffic-related incidents are preventable so that deaths and injuries are not accidents but can be avoided. The city adopted a goal to have 0 deaths, serious injuries, and it's a data-driven effort, so we did the analysis and it identifies that 79% of the crashes occur on 14% of the city's roadways. That's the high injury network you see there. There are also 20 schools located on our high injury network. And just for basic safety improvements, your bulb outs, medians, and some lighting, we estimate that would be about $107 million. There's obviously additional work that would also be desirable. When we build on that, we have a lot of needs for complete street corridors, and this would be more than just safety improvements. We're really focusing on road diets that reduce your automobile capacity, protected bike lanes, have some transit-only lanes that might allow for bus rapid transit, include bulb outs and trees. And just in some of the corridors that we've already identified that are outlined, can't see them very well on that map in red, but locations like finish out our central city. We have our Stockton Boulevard. We've begun talking about Northgate Boulevard. We estimate just to implement those, it would be approximately $300 million. Then moving into our active transportation, and we separated bikes and peds, even though there's a lot of overlap. For implementation of our adopted bicycle master plan is estimated about $200 million. About $52 million of that is just our immediate top priority projects that we'd like to start working on right away. We also have, we're expanding our regional off-street trail system. So by expanding the Sacramento River and American River Parkway, building the Del Rio Trail, we also are increasing costs that we want to cover for patrol and maintenance to make sure those are safe and people feel comfortable using them. In addition to the $200 million in the bicycle master plan, there's a number of connections, bridges, and tunnels to get over some major hurdles. And those are probably estimated about $50 million. And I think, for instance, Sac State has some issues with trying to get the students from all the low-income or the student housing projects that are being built into the campus easily without having to drive. And there's some barriers between the roads and the railroad tracks, and so there's some opportunities there to build some additional connections to the light rail station. Then for our pedestrian active transportation, we estimate one of the drawbacks of being an older city is it was not built to accessibility standards. Just going forward, we have about $200 million in accessibility retrofits identified. We also have a high demand for pedestrian crossings to make those safer. So if we were to add some sort of pedestrian crossing to our unsignalized crossings, so add either a beacon or a pedestrian signal, to just about 20% of our signals would be about, our unmarked crosswalks would be about $40 million. We also, especially in some of our outside the central city, we have areas that don't have sidewalks. Just for our arterials and collectors, we anticipate that that would be about $50 million. The intermodal phase 3, as we talked about, we completed phase 1 and 2, which was relocation of the tracks and expanding or rehabbing the historic transit station. Phase 3 is really focusing on the area between the historic station and the tracks. This would allow us to have major intercity bus terminals, expanded passenger concourse, realign the light rail station and expand it to be more effective, add better bike connections and other connections. This is estimated roughly to be about $200 million. We haven't done some really clear estimates yet. The other challenge we face with the intermodal is that it is a 24/7 facility for intercity rail where we have people all the time, but there is no ongoing funding dedicated for ongoing security and operations. And so the city has to use what it can get from parking revenues and some general fund to provide and maintain the station, but we could really, being such an important station, we could really use some additional money for funding to make sure it's ongoing on a secure basis. And then finally, just some other major projects. We don't have a lot of development along the edges left. We're going to become more of an infill and redevelopment type city, so we need to look at our existing system and use it effectively. So we have some river crossings identified in our plan. In addition, while we're not expecting to build a lot of new interchanges, there are interchanges that need to be rebuilt because they no longer serve the needs of the level of operations that they have. And so we've identified a few of those. The Richards I-5 interchange is in the current Measure A expenditure plan, but we need additional funding so that we can move forward with construction of that ultimately. But there's also other interchanges, 65th Street and Highway 50, Mac Road, it's State Route 99, that if you drive out there, you can see that those are some issues. And that concludes my presentation. I should mention I'm here to answer questions, as well as Hector Barone, our Public Works Director, is here, and I have other staff as reinforcements as well.
Thank you. Ms. Frost, you had a question?
You mentioned river crossings, and I wonder if you know where are those new river crossings, and what location?
No, we have two that are currently part of our general plan. There's replacing the I Street Bridge, travel on the I Street Bridge between Sacramento and West Sacramento, and that's currently in process. So develop a new bridge that doesn't share the railroad with that. And then as part of the planned DNA line to get light rail to the airport, there's long been proposed a bridge over the American River between the central city and South Natomas, which would be which could be a multimodal bridge and accommodate various types. But currently there's no funding identified for that project.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Any other questions for the City of Sacramento? Mr. Guerra, there we go. The button got pushed, though. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you pointed out the issue about some of the levee and train track issues around the Sac State campus. I know that as we're growing, and a lot of students who wish to live near the campus but may come from either Rancho or whatever region in the greater Sacramento region, we have seen a dangerous situation where more students are trying to cross around Highway 50. So I'd also like to bring up, I think and this is maybe when RT comes back up, but to consider the light rail station idea at Brighton Avenue, because even though it'd be great to have another tunnel, and I think we need to have another tunnel,
on the UP tracks. If we can have another station where the new Ramona crossing is, that would be helpful. So, and I think I saw somebody from Sac State here today look at.
He's going to speak in a minute.
Oh, good. So, but I think both Councilman Harris and I have been working on pedestrian safety on those areas, and Folsom Boulevard was our old Highway 50, and it has to kind of change its design now so that it reflects the tremendous growth in student housing in that area. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Hanson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to follow up because we have so many overlapping transportation systems in the city of Sacramento. Not only RT, but all the other service providers tend to conglomerate, and we've got this amazing work that our staff has done. But obviously, we have so many challenges. It's not clear how it's going to be tackled. The safety stuff is truly important. But I want to just thank our public works staff. Our director, Hector Barone, is here. I think we've got an amazing staff, and they work very well with not only STA, but I think with everyone else. And so as your agencies think about their unmet needs, it's great to collaborate, and we're trying lots of new things. Do they always work? I would like to say yes, but we've got a lot to maintain, and it gets a beating. Our infrastructure gets a real beating because of so many people who use it. So I just listen to you. Always do great work. I appreciate this. Jennifer, Greg, Hector, your whole team is awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, great work. I forgot to mention that, and I think it's amazing what you guys have been able to do with very little resources. So keep it up, and hopefully we can get you some more resources.
Thank you. Mr. Harris?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to thank all of our public works staff as well. Clearly, we have a lot of unmet needs. I don't know if you totaled the tally of all the things that you mentioned, but it was quite a substantial sum of money. Prioritizing those projects is kind of difficult, and I'm wondering, has Public Works come up with a list of priorities, the things that you feel are the most important to tackle in the soonest period of time?
We come up with priorities probably in each of these areas because we can't ignore any one of them individually and focus all on one. It also often depends on what funding sources and grant sources we have available. We are in the process of updating our general plan, and part of that is going to be a transportation master plan that will also help us to prioritize all our needs. The other thing that we try to do is address many needs at one time. So when we do a pavement overlay project, that is an opportunity to do a complete streets project and add safety improvements and add bike lanes. So that's one of our other goals, is to try to be as efficient as possible with the funding projects we do have.
I appreciate that, and I know that you have put together projects to create efficiencies coupled with what funding sources available. So I realize you're always dancing, looking at whatever pot of gold comes up, that becomes a priority project. I just want to say that as the city goes, especially one with a confluence of two rivers, we have the fewest numbers of bridges of any city in that kind of configuration. We're really lacking crossings. And I know that, in the last Measure B, our priority was a bridge across the American, which I find to be rather critical because it would connect city center with 1/5 of the population of Sacramento. So hopefully we're always keeping an eye open to get that multimodal bridge across the American. It would benefit RT, benefit all of the Natomas Basin. And as the rail yards develops, it's going to be ever more critical to get people downtown to avail themselves of a hospital, hopefully Major League Soccer, and everything that downtown has to offer. But that's 1/5 of our population. It can't be ignored. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I ask a follow-up question?
Oh,
sorry.
Well, Mr. Natoli was next.
That's fine.
You don't mind?
It wasn't a question. I was just going to say, I don't know much about the bridge piece of it, but Mr. Guerra mentioned the tunnel, and there's one proposed for the Delta. We could gladly give you a shorter span and cost a lot less, and you can have it right now.
Glad to take that funding for tunnel at Sac State.
Yeah, you can do 2 more tunnels over to Sac State. So anyway, just in jest.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Lucinda, Mr. Harris brought up a great question, and I didn't see the Broadway Bridge mentioned here. How are we handling the cross-county project? to relieve congestion on 80, particularly that corridor, but connecting across the river to West Sacramento.
Right, so we currently have 2 bridges that we are currently in development with in connection with West Sac, because they're split. The I Street Bridge is farther along. We've completed the environmental document, and we are have substantial funding identified for that. The Broadway Bridge, West Sac is taking the lead on that. They've been doing some preliminary work on that we've contributed to, but it's farther down the road in terms of identifying potential implementation and funding.
So we wouldn't, if we're looking at unmet needs, though, we wouldn't list that on this.
We certainly could. Again, our list of unmet needs is so massive that if we put everything that we actually would like to do.
The bridge too far, I guess.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Next is Nathan Dietrich representing the Sac State University. Mr. Dietrich is our last speaker, so if anyone from the audience wishes to speak, if you'd fill out your speaker card and take it to our clerk, now would be a good time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And board members, thank you for having me here today on public comment. My name is Nathan Dietrich. I'm the Director of State and Federal Relations at Sac State. Sacramento State is an integral part of the city of Sacramento and our region. We're home to more than 31,000 students and 3,000 staff and faculty. Each year, over 4,000 students, freshman students, and 4,000 transfer students enroll at Sac State. And 60% are from Sacramento, the region, and over 70% stay here when they graduate. We are embarking on a robust community engagement effort called Anchor University. At the same time, we are looking at our physical connections and access between the university and the surrounding neighborhood. The prior partnership with the city has been tremendous. We're appreciative of Lucinda and Hector and your team and the council support for prior projects that have really helped safety and pedestrian access in recent years. This includes the Ramona Avenue extension, Carlson Drive, J Street bicycle improvements, and also the original Hornet Tunnel. We're appreciative of the support you showed for some projects noted today, but as noted, we are having a large number of housing units being built south of campus and east of campus, all within walking distance. So there's about 7,000 bids in that area now, and we view a lot of pedestrian and bicycle access being a future challenge we're working to accommodate. And we would want to share that we've shared some of these needs with your staff before, and we will continue to share them with the interested parties at SACOG, RT, and the city and the county. And we have some ideas of ways we could encourage transit-oriented development, reduce vehicle miles traveled, and use increased use of public transportation. Some of these projects we've tossed around include a second Hornet Tunnel near the 65th Street Light Rail Station with a more advantageous position to the university. Increased shuttle service between that light rail station and the heart of campus that would increase the use of light rail. Also, how we move pedestrians over and through University Drive and College Town Drive, so we don't back up the roads on to surface streets on Highway 50. And the council member mentioned the Brighton Avenue Light Rail Station. So we look forward to continuing discussion with the STA board and our local government partners, and are open to working with you how we can help solve the regional transportation challenges. So thank you for your time.
If you'd wait just a moment, Mr. Dietrich, Mr. Harris has a question.
Thanks again, Chair. You know, Nathan, regarding a second Hornet Tunnel, I was in discussions with staff at Sac State about a year and a half ago, discussing the 65th Street specific plan and the extension of 67th Street, as there had been a tunnel plan some years ago to go under the UP tracks and gain an entrance into Sac State at that point. But it was your senior staff that told me that they had no interest in that tunnel and that idea was off the table. You know, I certainly understand that things change, and of course I've been principally working on getting more student housing and more density right in that area. But I think we need to talk, because a couple of those developments were predicated upon the idea that Sac State was no longer interested in creating that tunnel. So, you know, plans have been tentatively drawn with the idea that 67th Street would not continue north of Folsom and then connect with a tunnel under the railroad tracks. Of course, it's a very expensive proposition to do that tunnel at this point. So we should really have a meeting about that and discuss plans moving forward.
Yeah, I've shared that with your staff, and we actually are working on getting a meeting scheduled for the coming weeks, and appreciate that, and look forward to that conversation.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, that is all the speakers I have listed, and I haven't received any speaker requests. So ending that item, and are there any other business items that need to come before us, Madam Clerk?
Just the comments of the authority members.
Speak now or go home.
Go home.
Okay, all right. Meeting adjourned.
Wait a minute. It's all a waste of authority.
Mr. Hill?